Thank you, Steve. And as always at these conferences, the discussion you have in coffee before the conference starts is, sends you to your iPad or your iPhone, ready to email the lessons that you've learned. And networking is key and crucial to managing and promoting reputation in FE. And I'm grateful, and I'd like to thank you for inviting me to give the keynote address. I'm keen that I keep to time, so I'm hoping Steve is going to sort of give me a nod when I get close to my time limit. The views I'm going to express are mine. They're not reflecting the views of York College, but they are informed by our practice, and they are informed by the work and the research and the experiences that we've learnt from during the work of the Further Education Reputation Strategy Group, which has been working for some time on building the reputation of FE nationally. And we've learned a lot of lessons about reputation management, and I am not talking about marketing. I'm talking about managing and promoting FE and the reputation of FE, and I want to be quite clear about that. Now, I owe my existence to FE, believe it or not. I've told this story once or twice, but my parents met at Chesterfield College many moons ago. I'm not saying how many moons, but many moons. And the work of the staff and the work of that college changed my parents' lives. It allowed them to take A-levels at night school. It allowed them to progress to university, both from very working-class backgrounds. My mother was a daughter of a bus driver. My father was a daughter of a train driver, so they got transport, dealt with between the two families. They both progressed to university. My mother to Nottingham, my father to Leicester Polytechnic. My mother always tried to score points over my dad about that one, and they both ran a very successful pharmacy business. Now, why am I telling you this? It seems completely irrelevant. Because actually, I think the way we should enhance the reputation of further education is to tell its story. Case studies are very powerful things and shouldn't be restricted to the disadvantaged and shouldn't be restricted to the return-to-learn mature student. Case studies should talk about the full range of our students, and we shouldn't be ashamed to do that. We should be talking about the sixth form offer, the 16 to 18. This country educates, in its FE provision, more than half of all the sixth form offer, the 16 to 18 offer in the country. We should be talking about that loud and clear. We should be talking about those students progressing to Oxbridge. We have 7 students progressing to Oxbridge this year, and we're very proud of them. We should be talking about those students who are going to get 6 grade A's at A-level and go on to the very top universities. We should be talking about the vocational successes, those students who are going on to the top employers, the top universities, the top careers. We should be talking about the star apprentice, the adult student. We should not focus our marketing work on those areas that traditionally FE focuses on. We should attract and interest the top 5%, and indeed the rest will follow. And we need to just think about how we do that. FE has many, many powerful stories. Did you know, and I'm going to mention another college now, did you know that Jeanette Winterson, some of you may have read her autobiography, Why Be Happy When You Could Be Normal? Did you know that she was rescued from living in her mini car, by an English teacher at Accrington and Rossendale College? And this same English teacher encouraged her to apply to Oxford, and so her career began. That's another powerful story, and I bet each of your colleges and training organisations have similar stories that go back decades. We should be telling that story. Student alumni are very powerful ways of telling the story of FE, and we should use them as advocates. We should use the history of FE and demonstrate the long reach of the FE experience by delving into case studies of students long since left, as well as the more recent leavers, and build that alumni. In my experience, we're actually really quite bad at building alumni networks, and yet these are our advocates. We should also look at using our alumni as guest speakers at our awards events as living examples to those who are receiving awards of just what is possible. We tried this. Well, we've started working on this at York College, and we've found that the role modelling is extremely powerful, particularly if used with prospective students. For example, one of our ex-students is a young woman who is now assistant producer at the BBC, doing the science programming. She did A-levels with us. She went on to Cambridge. Now she's working with Brian Cox and doing all that Star at Night stuff and science stuff. We recently used her to work with our prospective and existing students at an awards event. It's extremely powerful. Or the playwright. We've recently used the playwright teaching at York University, taking a star role in the York Mystery Plays. Again, a powerful way of modelling success, another ex-student. We will all have those ex-students. York College is not an exception. As you do that, include the invites to their ex-head teachers so that you are proving the fact that your college, your training provider, does a good job with their students, and make sure that they can see the network so that they can advocate for you and that they can include those stories on their websites. So you start to get the momentum. So we should use our current and ex-students to advocate for us. And we should use student satisfaction statistics, parent satisfaction statistics in a powerful way to tell our story. But secondly, and this is the second point I want to make, we should also use our staff. And this is something that the FERSG, the Reputational Group, has been working on recently with a piece of research. And I know many of you are thinking, oh, I'm not sure how we do this. And I know that in many academic organisations, staff working in FE tend to use, as they do in universities and in other organisations, tend to use a fairly cynical facade to cover their commitment to what they do. But our recent study into staff advocacy demonstrates that our staff are hugely committed to their students. They are hugely committed to make sure that their students succeed, that our students succeed, and they work tremendously hard to make a difference. They know their students well, they know how those students are succeeding, and they will do everything they can to make sure that those students achieve their potential. Too many times they are knocked by Ofsted. Too many times they and we are knocked by ministers. Very rarely do we stand up and say, actually, our staff in FE do a fantastic job. They put students first. They are highly skilled and experienced, and you can trust them. It is even rarer for us to find staff themselves acting as advocates for their college and telling the story themselves of what they do. So the second way I suggest we should enhance the reputation of FE is to develop ways that staff can advocate for their colleges and training providers with all who listen. We employ 1,000 people. So think how powerful 1,000 voices out in the community telling the story of York College can be. So how to do this? Start by ensuring that all staff know about the successes of their colleagues. Quite often in a college that's large, successes are hidden in the corners of the work that colleges do. Make sure that that's not the case. Make sure that staff know about the successes of the students. Use newsletters, use all staff presentations, use celebrations to do this. Tell the stories, develop a sense of collective pride in the whole organisation's work, rather than that of a single department. and make sure that every person who works for that organisation is included. That means the estate staff, the cleaning staff, the finance staff, the HR staff, as well as those who teach. Remember, whatever their job, if they work for your organisation, they can advocate for it. They can be out in the community, sitting in the pub, sitting with their family and friends, and saying what a fantastic job their college does. Whatever their job, whether they're cleaning at the end of the day or whether they're processing the pay claims. They need to know their college too. Thirdly, I strongly believe, and I think the research backs this up, that reputational management and marketing should be value-driven. Too often do we see league tables, frequently using selective sets of data. You and I know that a league table can be manipulated any which way you wish, being used to damage the reputation of the provider next door. Maybe we have colleges in this room that do this, only for a contradictory set of data to be published by that organisation. And sooner or later, the organisations find themselves in ping-pong marketing based on league tables. The only thing that happens as a result of that is that the customer, the student, the parent, the employer is confused. And as all the research demonstrates, people are turned off and reputation is damaged as a result. I would suggest that the better way is to identify the key values driving your organisation and what it does, and base your marketing and reputational work around these. Research says that that actually works better to build trust. Be honest and upfront about what you can and can't do. Communicate this clearly, internally and externally, so that all messages are consistent. And make sure your audiences understand your priorities. When I used to work at Runshaw, we used to have no gold taps. We don't have gold taps, we put money into teaching and learning. So make sure the customer understands that. In York, we have an agreement with all post-16 providers that we will undertake value-driven marketing. We will not criticize or denigrate other providers. We will focus on what we do well and not what others do badly. Indeed, we can even talk about what others do well in an open and transparent way. This has been tremendously successful. All providers have recruited well. All providers are providing high-quality provision. And it means that they and we are tremendously supportive of each other, and it's paid dividends. I would also say, base your reputation management on research and evidence. Find out what your reputation is, ask people, do the groundwork, and then build your strategy on what is known. Then consider the research that's out there on what influences reputation. There's plenty of research out there. Look at the Lancashire College's work on reputation, called Furthering Reputation. Use the FERSG's work on reputation, work with employers and staff. All this is on FERSG's website. Look for key elements of this work for your college and training provider. Don't forget the advocacy power of employers, governors, school heads, and parents, and use it to your advantage whenever you can. Someone speaking for you is much more powerful than self-marketing. However, I'm sure I'm going to be told that I'm going to run out of time in about, a few minutes. So I've got about half a dozen very, very brief rules to try and summarize this. And I suppose rule one is stop selling. This is Steve's phrase, actually, that I've stolen. Rule one is stop selling and start listening. Only by listening will you find out what people really want from you. And then you can change what you do. People are canny. They can sniff out a hard sell. And frequently, that hard sell causes ripples that backfires. So stop selling, start listening. Rule two is don't assume that people know what you do. improve their understanding of what you do, and avoid jargon. FE is known for its jargon, and business-based jargon has crept into everything we do. In fact, we often don't even notice it. Do people really know what learners are? Do people really know what the word vocational means? What about end date? Level 1, level 2, level 3. Let's try to commit to speaking a language people understand, and therefore we can communicate more effectively. Rule 3 is around reputation being a lag indicator, and it's actually based on the quality of experience. It's all well and good increasing your student numbers by, 92%. But when they get through your doors, if their experience is not a good one, well, you've had it. Because what is it? They tell, if the experience is good, they tell a couple of people. If the experience is bad, they tell 8 to 10 people. So you need the experience to be good. Customer service at all levels is crucial. Use complaints to drive improvements. Try to turn a complaint into a delight. Don't ignore or hide away from customers telling you what is wrong. Ensure your teams understand this and monitor complaints. Are they going up? Are they going down? And that means every member of staff, including your reception staff, including the principal. Make sure that complaints are taken seriously. Don't let your principal hide away from anybody complaining. If they ask for the principal, give them the principal. Rule 4. Show off your buildings and facilities. Remember, the last experience of FE many employers or parents might have would have actually been decades ago. They probably remember the huts, you know, the corrugated roofs, the muddy car parks. Actually, our car park is still muddy, but that's another. And they've not been through the door of a college or a training provider for some time. So invite them in. Show them the fantastic resources that we have now. Make sure that employers, businesses, parents, students, friends, colleagues know what FE can offer. Rule 5, whilst healthy competition can improve standards, collaboration is just as powerful and can lead to improved business and signposting between organisations. Use collaboration as a powerful tool to improve your and others' reputation. This gets the message out that the student and their future really does come first, and you are going to recruit with integrity. And finally, and maybe this is a key message for me to work on too, make sure your principal or chief executive understands how crucial they are in leading work on reputation. This might be quite difficult to do, but send them the links on FERSG's work on reputation and they will soon get the message. All the research shows that the CEO of any organisation leads the reputation of that organisation for good or ill. And that's it from me. I hope that's sufficient. I don't know how I'm doing. Oh, absolutely perfectly timed. I hope it's been useful, and I'm happy to answer questions later on, so thank you.